Now let's start with a bit of a hands up here. Who's got a Mastercard? Okay. Who's heard of Mastercard? Okay, bit better. Who's got any idea of why Mastercard would be at a conference like this? Okay, one. But I think we can help the other ones of you to talk a bit about what Mastercard does in this space, because we believe that urban mobility is not really about vehicles and infrastructure alone. It's connected to the data systems, the incentives, and the partnerships that we have to build in this space to really grow the ecosystem. And that's what we're here. And I'm joined here by Frido van Gelder, who leads our Urban Mobility Innovation Hub. And in a moment, we'll be joined by some of our greatest startups that we've brought into the ecosystem now. But first, yeah, let's start. Frido, what is Mastercard doing in this space?
Well, it's a good question. I get a question more often. You know, what's the role of a cars company when it comes to mobility? Well, when you think about sustainability, and you said it, but also the themes that we're talking about here today. You know, connected mobility, smart mobility. Behind all those infrastructure, behind all those applications, behind all those services, there's often a payment at the back of it, right? And that's really where our role comes in. And basically, as we do as a global company for the 100 million plus acceptance of the cards worldwide in retail and online, basically saying, you know, how can we make payments more easy? How can we introduce EMV contactless for those merchants? We're doing the same thing for mobility. So basically, in this space, how can we make card payments more easy and make the space more, let's say, easy to accept cards like you do in your everyday spend when you go to the grocery or when you go shop online with the stuff that you already have in your pockets, which is your bank card and your Google Pay or your Apple Pay.
Okay. Give us a bit more details. What exactly are you doing in this space?
Well, we basically categorized it in three areas of interest. First, we concentrated on public mobility. Secondly, on what we call private mobility, so shared mobility. And the third thing is for our innovation, we look at automotive. And to give some examples maybe on all three of them, public mobility, when it comes to bank card acceptance and Apple Pay, Google Pay acceptance, of course, all started 13, 14 years ago with Transit for London, when they decided to move to open loop for Transit for London. We developed a lot of infrastructure rules, solutions for that, and that basically kickstarted the whole acceptance of open loop bank cards in transit, and we have now over 400 cities in Europe alone where we have implemented this. And a good example is what recently has been done in the Netherlands, where not a city but a whole country migrated to open loop bank card acceptance. Which was the first country in the world. So that was really a novelty also for us, and also next level of complexity. But really good results. I think in the first 2 years, now 15% of all payments are done with a bank card. And when you look at the travels that are eligible with a bank card, which almost goes to 40% at the moment. And I think the unique thing from that case is that it's not only accepting bank cards, but they also decided to replace the transit card for a EMV solution, so that the whole technology stack for the nationwide system is based on EMV contactless, and that really gives them, let's say, the benefit of operational efficiencies to run the whole country, so to speak. So that's an example of public mobility. For private mobility, I think a good example from a partner that we work with is a company called FreeBike. FreeBike is a electric bike share company from Czechia. And when we start talking to them, we said, you know, how can we really help? And they said, you know, if you can change the utilization of these bikes on a daily rate from, let's say, 2.5 to 4 times a day, that really sort of changes our complete business case and let's say our continuity. So basically, we said, you know, what are the barriers for that? And what you see then is that the abandonment rate for these types of solutions is very high. Sometimes up to 60, 70% of people would try for the first time to rent a bike, sort of abandon because of the hassle of the onboarding, enrolling of account credentials, things like that. So basically, a very simple solution we offered with them is mounting a contactless reader on top of the battery, so that people don't have to enroll anymore if they want to use it for the first time. And they just can tap and they drive off for their ride, so to speak. And it dramatically increases utilization rates, let's say almost doubles or even more than doubles the utilization rates in those areas where we introduced it. So it's a really good example of how introducing contactless EMV can also make a total change for these kind of companies. And then maybe a last one for automotive. We're working with a partner called Last Mile Solution, which is a EV charging platform. So a company who manages EV charging for CPOs, charge point operators, in 22 countries in Europe. And they came to us with the sort of introduction of the new AFI regulations from the EU, which requires that charge points are, the fast chargers are installed with a contactless EMV solution. They said, how can we sort of mutually benefit and enable our customers with that? And together with them, we created, let's say, the infrastructure for them to connect with payment service providers and acquirers so that their customers, and I think they handle over 200,000 charge points, that really can handle, that they can really sort of use and sort of offer contactless EMV payments for in automotive as well. So these are just 3 examples, but there are many more that for our opportunity for us that will come with us. So that's why we introduced the Urban Mobility Innovation Hub recently, where we really want to sort of want to function as a global center for our partners and customers to jointly design and collaborate and get inspired on all these types of solutions over these different verticals, so to speak.
Great. Yeah. So that's some good insights on what we have done. But what we have a problem as a big company like Mastercard is how do we stay ahead of the curve? How do we get access to the latest technologies and ideas around our offerings to our customers? And this is where Start Path comes in. So Start Path is our innovation arm where we work with startups in an accelerator space. So we've been doing this for 10 years now, and we've worked with 450 startups to date. There are a number of unicorns even coming out of that. So we have 8 unicorns who came out of Start Path, and we're using Start Path as a vehicle for us to understand where the trends are going. And we're very proud to have now some dedicated sustainability startups that are coming into Mastercard. And in this cohort, we've focused on startups that combine sustainability with mobility. And we have 4 startups who joined us for this cohort. 3 of them are going to be presented here. So we have Let Me Park, parking solutions. We have It's Electric, about charging solutions. We have Ubi Rider for mobility and urban transport. And we have As Is To Be, who's looking at the data systems that are required behind the mobility systems. So you'll see that this is where Mastercard sees that we are playing a role to generate the next generation of mobility solutions that are sustainable, that are frictionless, and that are accessible for everyone. So please join me in welcome 3 of our great startups here. So we have Uliana from Let Me Park or Let Me Charge. We have Johan from As Is To Be. And we have Paolo from Ubi Rider. So let me start with asking you for a 1-minute pitch. What does your company do? Uliana.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. So Let Me Park and Let Me Charge is an aggregator of parking and charging solution. You know that the problem that we have a lot of different parking and charging solution if you want to make payments. And also we are focusing in car payments. So we already integrated with 15 car brands. So with our solution, we are not only can use an application to find the parking or charging and pay it, but also do it through the connected car incorporated services in several OEMs like Volvo, Polestar, Nissan, Renault, Audi, etc.
Yeah, so hello, I'm Johan from Assist2B. So when a city designs the public transport system, you really don't know how little they know about how people really move. So I ran the public transport system in Bergen in Norway, and I wanted more data. How do people really move? So I founded Assist2B 4 years ago, and we teamed up with data providers who can help us make a digital twin of how people move. And our digital twin is not that we ask for your data, we provide data, we put incompatible mobility data together to give you a deep insight in how people really move. So we teamed up with telecom companies like T-Mobile, Telia, going to British Telecom now. We teamed up with TomTom, and then we show cities how people are moving. We predict future mobility, and we optimize the public transport service.
Paulo?
We would rather develop a suite of software for operators of transportation, can be private or public, allowing them to manage all the activities that any operation needs to manage. So the allocating drivers and vehicles to services, also managing the ticketing and the fare collection and the payments. And we do it everything in real time and using almost no hardware, allowing that the management is done on the cloud. Why that is important? Because transportation systems are very complex ecosystems that need a lot of data, need a lot of interactions, need to interact with the passengers, and so the passengers can know when will arrive the next bus or the next train or the next train, and they need to do it efficiently. And to do it efficiently, they need also to be scalable and flexible to adapt fast to the changes that exist on urban areas at a fast pace. So what we do is basically substituting as much hardware as possible by powerful software and allowing that people can travel or access the service with what they have in their pockets, paying and accessing with their smartphone or their credit or debit card.
And what made you apply to Start Path? Why did Mastercard show up in your target map?
Yeah, because for me it was very obvious that there are two problems. One is if you have enough buses or you have enough infrastructure to provide the service. But it's really annoying for the people that live on the 21st century that we need to lose so much time to pay to access the service, to go to a ticketing machine or a ticket office to buy a ticket or to buy a travel card and spend a lot of time to travel. Even today, I come by train from Seville to here. I account 15 minutes to be able to buy a ticket to do a trip that spends just 6 minutes. So I spend more time buying a ticket than traveling. And for me, it was quite obvious that the companies that would enable that we could travel paying with what we have in our pockets are companies like Mastercard. Because when you have a contactless point for payment, you have also a digital point to assess data. And so I knocked the door of Mastercard. I wrote explaining what was our vision and asking for help. And luckily, you replied to the message, and here I am.
Right. And Johan, whenever we talk, you still say, I don't understand what Mastercard does. So, why did you
I know
apply?
the basics. I understand the basics of paying with the card. So I was running a public transport system, spending 500 million euros a year. So why do people choose public transport? It's travel time, which we think is really important. Does a bus, if it's fixed or on demand, does it go where I want to go? It's the comfort and it's the easiness and it's the price and it's easiness of payment. So that's basically the 4 factors deciding if you choose public transport. So in our model, when we are modeling how people are moving and predicting the future, we're already using very interesting data sources. But public transport is not just about cost, it's also about revenue. So if we can enter transactional data from Mastercard into our model, we can enable cities to have better ticket price strategies included in our platform. So that's one of the things. But also, obviously, if open loop increases the number of passengers, you need to use your fleet more optimal. So we will help cities to use their fleet. You can't just buy more buses all the time. So you kind of all of this, how do people move, make it faster, make it easier to pay. That's why we applied for Start Path.
Right. And Uliana, I think for you, it was clear you had frictionless in your application, and that's sort of very, very much what we like to hear. But
Yeah.
how do you what do you do to make parking frictionless?
I would like to start that first the payments is crucial for our company because then they are payment company despite like parking, but they are payment company. But also it's crucial for sustainable and connected mobility. Okay, it's crucial. Frictionless payments is crucial. Why? For the connected mobility, for example, it's crucial because like then connected mobility is what is data. So the cars have a data, and then they can be proactive, predictive, and provide like better mobility. But like who owns the data? The users. The users own the data, not the companies, not the car companies, not users. So to motivate users to share this data, you have to do something. You have to give something in return. So for example, is what we give. We offer you. You want a totally automated on-street parking? You park and you leave? You want like not to go to the payment machine or to do with the app? You want? Give us your data. Give us the data, because in the car, when we ask the user to activate our service, we ask, can you share your, and they say yes. They understand why, because I'm going to do on street totally automated parking without worrying about fines and all the payment process. So they give. We have a data. With this data, we can provide predictive and proactive services. And you're driving around and say, hey, go to the left. There is a available parking spot. So it's very important for connected and then sustainable mobility. And another example, which is like electric mobility, is crucial. The cars, electric cars. When we think about electric cars, a lot of people say, oh my God, it's a pain. Why? I have to download 35 or 40 apps, pay, how, I don't know. So if we give a frictionless, seamless payments to the electric vehicle drivers, we will receive, okay, electric car is something easy and cool. When you do, park and like auto charge, you just plug and it's easy. Okay, I want to use electric car. If you don't give this frictionless, seamless solution, just sustainable and electric mobility will develop, but much slower.
No. Well, Frido,
So- That's why Mastercard. Actually, that's why startup. It's
but then Frido, you said Mastercard is already doing quite a bit in making EV charging frictionless.
Yeah.
I mean, how do the partnerships help you develop your products better?
No, I think we of course we're starting with EV charging. The example was on actually physically tapping your card on a charge point. I think the challenging and interesting part also in mobility is the what if question. What if every car itself is a payment device, right? And you don't need to get out and use your card anymore. So like we are what we call tokenizing, so putting the card credentials of your bank card to for instance, your Apple Pay or Google Pay, we could do the same thing to a car, right? We can make any car a payment device in itself with the card credentials already at the car. And then when you think about if the car can pay for me, then you can really start to think and dream about, I mean, EV charging is very close with the plug and charge protocols that are coming out, where you just connect the charger and it automatically start the session, but also automatically will pay afterwards. But what about tolling, right? If you just link your license plate to your car and your car can pay itself, you can seamlessly go through tolling ports. parking solutions the same thing. So as soon as your car becomes a payment device, then you can really go into this, what we often refer to as these Uber kind of payment experience where you just step out and the payment is done in the back.
Yeah, yeah, great. So, I mean, you know Mastercard as a payments company, but actually, what we're really about is a data company, because we don't actually touch the payments; we touch the data behind the payments, and this is where we think with Assist2B there's a great link on the data side. So maybe Johan, give you a bit more of a chance to say what are you doing with data and how does that fit into what we're doing?
So, like I said, kind of, we are on a mission to show cities how people are moving. If you know how people are moving, and that's with car, with bikes, with public transit, when you know how they're moving, you can change, or why they're moving, you can change how they're moving. So insight is key. So we are entering, design of public transport system is a 1 billion euro market annually. This is done by consultants. They're making reports, they're interviewing people. So we are changing this by software, giving interactive software so you can understand mobility, you can see your weaknesses, you can get suggestion from our software on how to change this. And we are looking for data everywhere, and we are teaming up with global companies. So we are now launching the Public Transport Attractiveness Index, where we are on a mission to rank every city in the world with data, how efficient the public transport system is, without asking anyone for data, except partner data. So we are partnered with TomTom, we partner with Deloitte for the index itself, we partner with the telecom companies, and obviously now with Mastercard. And there's no single source of data. There doesn't exist a single source available data you can use. So that's why our DNA is combining mobile network data, car data, and transactional data to make that all about kind of to understand travel behavior.
No, great. And well, as Frida has explained, we know a lot about public transport, and we love cities that have an easy credit card payment for public transport, as you see in places like Amsterdam or London. And this is what attracts us to Ubi Rider, because you're really enabling. I mean, you said, I think in your pitch, that you can have only 20 buses and you'd be interesting for
Yeah.
Ubi Rider.
Yeah.
But why are small cities interested in Ubi Rider?
Yeah, when we look historically to the last 20 years in terms of technology for assessing transportation, so we move from paying cash to travel cards. So to avoid that people spend time paying directly to the driver or so. And after came London, that it was the first case of that enabled to pay with Apple Pay, Google Pay, or the credit or debit card. And they did it into 2012 under the state of art of the technology of the time. So everything relies in a lot of hardware. It's very complex and is very expensive, and implies a project management that the smaller cities or the smaller operators can't afford. And our challenge, and it was the challenge that we, with that challenge that we addressed Mastercard 3 years ago or more, it was, can we make it simpler in a way that any smaller city can have also the possibility that to offer to their travelers that they pay on the go, tap and go everywhere. And so we adopt a technology called Tap on Phone that was being piloted. It was a technology designed for shopping and restaurants. And together with Mastercard, we transformed it to be faster enough to be accepted in buses, and allowing that we can deploy open loop infrastructure for our first customer, as you said, as just 20 buses in a couple of weeks, instead of months and having a lot of investment up front. So we do is plug and play, and can be deployed in a couple of weeks without almost no upfront investment.
Yeah. Frido, now that we have Ubi Rider, why aren't we in every city?
It's a good question. I think it's a matter of time. I think the evidence to migrate to also start accepting open loop is building up. And I think also what Paulo was just explaining is just, if this solution will be adopted or in the process of being adopted in every city, it must work for every city, big or small, right? And in the end, the decision-making process is often built not only on servicing the customer and giving this frictionless travel, but also on operational efficiencies and cost reductions. And if you see for London, they've gone to a double-digit cost. So for every pound they collect, maybe 13, 14, 15 cents went to the cards, let's say the payment process. They now reduced it to single digits, 7-8%. I think that's in the end what the decision will be about. And it should be the same for London, but also for any city in Europe to reduce that efficiency in the collection of revenue.
Great. So we spoke a bit about what Mastercard gets out of these partnerships, but what do you want to get out of this audience, out of a conference like this? Maybe Paolo, continue.
So this is, you put the question to Frido, why there is no more in other places. So the first step when you have a new approach is educating the market, is creating awareness of a new way of doing the same stuff. So being here and on the stage with you is also the possibility of promoting and showcase that there is a better way and a different way of having access to the best state of art for transportation. So for us, it's a great opportunity to be in such event to pass the word and pass our message.
Yeah, great. Johan, who are you trying to meet?
So obviously we have great meetings with both tech companies and some cities. So this is, but kind of we are, like I said, we are breakthrough technology, moving into a market dominated by consultants. And cities are conservative, not all are going into new technologies immediately. So when I was running the system, I was ordering reports from consultancies. So it takes time, and we have to prove, and we have proven you can save up to 20% of your OPEX using our data. But it takes time to break into a new market dominated by reports. And that's why we are here and many conferences to show that there is a new technology, there is a new way to do that.
Right. Well, Jana, who are you trying to meet?
We want collaborations, definitely, because always say innovation is impossible without collaborations. It was all the time through history. And it's important also to tell the people about our value proposition and what we can do. Honestly, we can see that there are a lot of futuristic, very like autonomous vehicle, connected car. But we want to show that to implement real use cases in connected car, it's kind of the matter of 1 week.
Yeah.
And you will make more predictive, proactive mobility, more data, and etc. So we want those collaborations. We also want to see cities more aggregated and disaggregated, because now the problem is like there are 40 different apps, there's 35,000 parking apps in the street. It's like there are only few countries actually that offer like a national parking system that with one integration you can integrate to the whole country, and for example on street. And the rest, like the Netherlands, yeah, it's one of the examples. And it's easy for us to integrate there and to offer our innovation, but the rest of the countries also need to implement more collaborative environments, easier to access and to make those innovations happen.
Yeah.
Now it's really very difficult.
So what's your vision? Where are we going to go? Where's parking and charging going to be in 5 to 10 years?
Connected and seamless, really. You park on street, you leave. Your connected car just manages the payment, everything for you, notifies you about some restriction in the area. You charge and you just leave without any. It's will be more automated and also predictive and proactive. So before you leave in your house, your car already knows where you go, how you go, with who you go, and you can proactively on your car screen say, hey, you want to reserve the parking because this person know that you have a flight. And he's like, yes. So this is not before you start searching, driving around, searching for the parking, creating traffic. And we like always say that parking is responsible for 30% of city traffic and 20% of CO2 emission. So if you do it more predictive, knowing already behavior and automated, that really can solve a lot of mobility and city problems.
Yeah. And your data helps with that? Where's
So-
5, 10 years for you?
So I think the future of public transport or shared mobility, I think that's two of the same kind, is we need to spend the money better to attract car drivers to switch to public transport. And that means that maybe you have to pick up people at home, connecting with on demand with mass transit. And to do these changes, you really need data to implement these changes.
Yeah.
So that is kind of the, I envision this future where public transport is so much more because the competition is out here. If everyone buys an autonomous vehicle, I'm going to drive to work, I'm going to send my car back to my garage, and it's going to pick me up. And that's so to drive anywhere, I would drive twice as much. But we can use the same technology to make public transport more cost effective and to be more coming to your home and pick you up. And that's how when our data and other data sources, that's where you're going to show how to spend your money better to make this a more shared mobility future.
Paolo, your vision is that every city is open loop. Or where do you see the future going?
So the cities has a problem almost everywhere of lack of space. So you have more and more people living in the same city. So we can't, cities can't afford that each one of us has a car. So, but cars are convenient to drive us door to door. So to substitute that convenience, we need, in fact, to combine different transportation and different mobility things. So I believe that park and ride, charge, park and ride, tolling, charging, park and ride, and all those things will be important. And there are in one point I agree with Johan that the data is important for that, but it is not sufficient. So how can we seamless assess and pay for all those modes? And that is the problem that we are trying to solve. But we can't avoid to change also the infrastructure. It's not just a matter of having data and a good payment mode. We need also to allow the infrastructure to accept that the payment mode is also seamless. So I see even between these three companies, there are a lot of common things and combining the things because your mobility profile shall be different from the one from Frido and mine. So we need to create different combinations for us to move for the shores that we need to accomplish.
Yeah. And maybe to all of you, any game-changing technologies that you see in the space? I mean, you have autonomous driving vehicles, you have drones. Where is that future where you see these are the startups that we'll take in 5 years' time?
I believe that space technology, like very important, and will affect a lot of use cases. Like for us, for example, the precision of the location of the car, exact, together with the data, it's very important. So I think like with the space technology, we could it's already know that space technology is not only like space, right? There is a lot of applications now in the businesses.
So you'll identify free parking spaces from space.
We need better precision, and it will not be only GPS, right? So it'll be like other technologies, like European, Galileo, and some other, like even internet. Right now, it's internet. It's a space. So like I believe that at least in our case, but I also see a lot of startup that start to apply a lot of space technology. There is a lot of potential there.
All right, good. Any more tips? Well, what should we be looking for?
More data from space, right?
Yeah, we're doing a space data project.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely. So I guess how long time you're looking into the future? So the Public Transport Authority in Oslo has a director of radical innovation, and he's just why do we do anything but building drones? They will change that. Now I really think this easiness of use, more transport coming to me, kind of transport as a service, and not just something moves around on fixed lines. The easier payments, better kind of travel times, everything. So I think this, yeah, interoperability, I guess is the right word.
There is an extra point that makes the thing even more complex. So one thing is solving a problem. The other is making the problem, making that solution affordable. We can't go against the market. And so if we have a solution that solves the problem, but is too expensive for cities or for the operators, you will never do it. So the extra complexity is doing something that really works, but generate value for the different stakeholders, for the cities, for the providers, for the passengers. And that is a complex, a very complete different game, much more complex, but it is unavoidable because sometimes there are good ideas, but we can't enforce them because they are too expensive or too complex to install.
Yeah. So a good look into the future. Great. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. Thank you very much to the startups
Thank
for
you.
joining us. It's been 1 month with you so far, and it's an absolute pleasure working with you. And we're looking forward to the solutions that we can be delivering together with you. So more in the space to watch. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frido, for creating the link to the mobility. So, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.